Hello, I'm Robert Lunte with CourseCREEK, and we are here today with our client, Branden Hubbell from The Kingdom Story. Branden and his partner, John Lewis and Rob and the rest of the team are clients at CourseCREEK, but more importantly than that, like many coaches, but in a special way, they're transforming lives literally all over the world. The Kingdom Story is a Christian ministry. Hope I'm saying that properly.
That's correct.
And apart from that good, solid work, I have to say, I've been looking forward to this interview because me and Branden, as you will see, have a great chemistry, and we're going to have a lot of laughs and a lot of fun. It's been the most fun client that we have because I get to laugh every time I get on the phone with him. All right, so I give to you guys Branden Hubbell, and Branden, thank you for making the time to be here with us.
Yeah, thank you, Robert. It's been a pleasure working with CourseCREEK for all of the ministry, and so I'm happy to be on this and to be doing this interview with you. And you're absolutely right. We do have a great rapport with each other, and if there's not a few jokes, then we must not be talking. So
yeah, got to laugh through life a little bit. I'm impressed by your background a little bit. Looks like you're in a jungle, you got like a rope ladder or something behind you. What's going on there?
Yeah, if you like that scene from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom where he's walking across the ladder, like that's what I got going on in the background here. Your notes said good background, so yeah. That's what I'm going for here.
I said good, not interesting, but no, it's cool. It's actually very cool. It's very different, but it's cool. All right, well, let's do this.
Yeah,
if you could please tell listeners about the Kingdom Story. What is the Kingdom Story? What's your service? How would you describe what you do? And what is it that you help people do? What's the story?
Yeah. I mean, Kingdom Story, as you mentioned, we're a Christian nonprofit organization. And really at the heart of what we do, if I could sum it up, is that we do what we call story-formed discipleship. In the Christian faith, Jesus calls us to be disciples and to make disciples. And the way we approach people to do that is through what we call story formed. Instead of having like points and principles and step 1, step 2, step 3, we allow your story, the cultural story, and the biblical story to really inform how people grow and how they become more like Jesus, how they find their purpose, how they find their place in this world. And that's what we help people do, from pastors all the way down to those that are just sitting in the seats in the pews, the congregants. And primarily we do that by teaching the biblical story through 30 stories, 30 narratives that really help people find their place and really enter in at a different level to encounter God, to encounter their own misperceptions that they might have of the Bible or of God, and to really find a way to live that out.
See, this is just fantastic. And I want to preface this for people that are listening. I'm not a practicing Christian, okay? But I've never met a Christian I didn't like. I mean, but it's true. I mean, look at the passion. I just watching your passion about what you do is just draws people in. And that's one reason why it's been so fun working with you guys, apart from the fact that your content's great for storytelling, So, and we see a teacher in you. I see a teacher in you. You're used to being in front of an audience and coaching and teaching folks, right? How long have you been doing this?
Yeah, I've been, coaching in just a general sense, I've probably been doing for the last 20 years or better. I love getting in front of an audience. I love helping people, actualize their own potential. I love seeing the light bulb and the aha moments that people have. It gives me joy. It gets me out of bed in the morning. But it's really been the last 10 years that I've focused on delivering the biblical story, on helping people find their place in God's story, and really teaching and coaching in that realm. That's been the last 10 years of my journey.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about the delivery method, like how it is that you and John and the team do this, because there's a lot of different ways to teach Christianity.
Right.
We've seen different ways of doing this. You guys have a certain approach, and that might be a nice leeway into explaining to people or sharing with people what your experience was like building the course. And so the question I have is, please tell us about your new course and what were some of the important lessons you learned about the course creation process, and maybe wrap that in how you guys do things a little differently.
Yeah. I mean, the way we take our approach to the scriptures and the, to a Bible study, again, as I've been talking about this whole time, is about story form. It's a narrative. It's a way of approaching it and not giving you like, here's the truth, here's the point, here's the application, but more, let's live into the story. And we began doing this really in a group setting where there was participation, where people were able to share their discoveries, and we provide more questions than we do answers, and that's on purpose, so that people can really discover the depth of truth that is there, really own it for themselves. And as we just recognized how this our world is moving more and more digital. I mean, especially post COVID, where a lot of things are being done online, we recognized that we needed to get our material up on on a course where people could take it really at their own pace. The next generation is really finding their way forward in that type of venue. And while we want to see participation, we hope that there's growth beyond the course. We realized that we needed to get something out that somebody could sit down in front of their computer, or they could go at their own pace. They could learn the truths, be brought into the story, experience it, and be challenged. And that's really what led us to this next phase of our journey to really develop this course. And man, I gotta say that it was one thing to teach this. It's one thing to teach this live. It's another thing to put it entirely up on on video. People might think that that's easy. For us, it was a hard learning curve. As we went through that, of the stories we wanted to tell, of how we wanted to share, of how we wanted to bring people into it without bogging things down, without making it boring. When a lot of the times we have discussion, where here you don't have that. So it was a learning curve for us, but one that has made us stronger and far better in our delivery, both in person as well as through video.
Yeah, that is for sure. Yeah, and you guys have worked so hard. Nobody has produced more content than John and Branden. How many total videos have we produced? We're still doing it. We've been doing this for quite some time. You'd think I'd know, but I'd lose count. What is the total count on your storyboard?
Yeah, there's 211 videos.
Yeah, it's just amazing. So these guys are working so hard at this. That's one reason why we love them, because they just keep going too. It's just fantastic. So share with people what was sort of an aha moment, or something that you learned in the process that you didn't do before, or you weren't familiar with prior to getting in front of the camera? Like, was there maybe something that was really challenging that you overcame?
Yeah, I mean, one of it is that I think the key thing that we learned is when we teach this live, we can make certain assumptions or wait for questions to come up that a participant might ask as they're going through. On video, they don't have the opportunity to ask that question. And so to really put ourselves in the seat of the listener and to say, what is it they may ask, and how might we share that from the video, from the front, answering their question really before they ask it. And it took some time to do. I mean, I think in the future we may have to go back and redo some of them, but we got better and better with it over time, as we recognized we need to give, we need to give you guys what you need, versus waiting for you to ask those questions. And just kind of bear in mind, what are those questions people are going to be asking about your content?
Yeah, but cool. What are 2 or 3 of the most urgent pain points your clients have? That is, I suppose, people that are in your ministry that might be considering on taking what you're teaching more seriously. What is the common guy, they're not really clients, are they? I mean, practitioners? What do you, worshipers?
Of the disciples that we work with, I'll speak about it in 2 different ways. The pastors and leaders, I think the 2 pain points that just jump out real quickly for them is, one of them, for pastors especially, is overload and busyness. They feel like there's so much that they've got to do, and not enough hours in the day to do it. And we help not only with this material, but with other material that our ministry provides. We help the pastors build a framework to help answer that, to help give them a way of moving forward, that helps them kind of release themselves from the busyness and the rat wheel that continues to spin. The other thing specifically is that they see themselves doing all of this work, but they don't seem to be producing the results that they desire. And part of that is just the misconception of they think they're doing the right things when they're not always. And we want to help them through that. And again, the story is part of how we do that. We help them see through the story and through how Jesus, interacts with people, that there's a different way. With those sitting in the seats, the congregants, the people that are just coming to church every day or just want to know more about Jesus, 2 pain points with them is really identity and purpose. They're struggling to know who they are, and they're struggling to know, what is it that I do, that I'm supposed to do with my life. And we jump in and we help them understand that they do have an identity and they do have a purpose, and that's given them by the God of the universe. As they walk through our material, they discover that over and over again, that they are seen, that they are known, and that they have a part in the larger drama, in the larger story. And we want to see them actualize that. We don't actually tell you what your identity is. We don't tell you what your purpose is. But through traveling through our course, you're going to discover it as you become more and more involved with the God who knows you and has purposed you.
Lovely. What advice would you give to other would-be course creators? So somebody's watching this, they might be thinking, gosh, I think I might want to do this. What advice would you give them on the front end?
I would say, just go for it. I think we can get in our heads a lot about whether we've got good content, imposter syndrome that might be thinking that maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe this is for someone else. I would say go for it. It all comes back to the identity and purpose. You have something that God has put in you to deliver, and I encourage you to deliver it, and you're going to be able to reach people that nobody else is going to be able to reach. So take a risk and step out, and you're going to learn along the way what it is that you need to do to make it better and better over time. The longer you wait, the more people suffer. So go for it and take a chance.
Hello, I want to talk to you real quickly about a learning management system that CourseCREEK recommends quite often. It's called LearnWorlds. You have the opportunity on LearnWorlds to license your content to large organizations. LearnWorlds has design templates that look beautiful, fluid, and silky to the eye. You can give your students badges and seals and do a lot of fun things to encourage them to keep moving on. So if you're looking for a great learning management system, we do recommend LearnWorlds, and of course, we can help you put it together and get it on its feet. Thank you. Branden, what's your story? Share with us sort of your rise, your Phoenix Rising story, your rags to riches story, how did you come to God? How did God come to you? Is there something cool? Did something cool happen?
Yeah, actually it did. I mean, so a funny tidbit about myself is that I used to be an all-star cheerleading coach.
Wow.
I ran a gym for 12 years. I taught competitive cheerleading on the national and international level. I had a gym that I owned with 2 other friends of mine, and man, the gym was moving on. It was being successful, but I was lost in the glitz and the glamour of it. I was lost in just living for myself and really what it is. And there were some decisions that I had made while I was there that were not good. And it ended up that the whole carpet got ripped out from under me. I lost everything. I mean, it's a bad country song, really, that I lost the gym, I lost the house, I lost the girl that I was with. I lost everything. Overnight, it was gone. And so something that I had spent so much of my life building and creating was literally gone, and all for my own fault. It was all my own doing. There was nobody else to blame but me. And so for a year after that, I spent a lot of time. I mean, I started then working for a warehouse, doing forklift. I was driving forklift and loading trucks, and thought I was moving on with life. But the year after I lost the gym, I probably fell into one of the deepest depressions that I've ever known. I mean, a dark pit where I was literally contemplating, is this the end? Is this, I'm just, there's really nothing else to do. I might as well just be done with all of this. And I remember I was sitting in my living room watching I have no idea how it ended up in my apartment, but it was, the movie's called Heaven is for Real. I was watching that. I was high out of my mind because I was just trying to forget things. And a scene came on at the end of the movie where Jesus kind of presented himself, and I literally just melted off my chair face first into the ground. And I said, Jesus, if you are who you say you are, man, you're the only one that's going to get me out of this. So, do something about it if that's you. And I mean,
You
I
asked for a miracle.
Yeah, basically.
Because it sounded like you needed one.
Yeah, in that dark place, that was all that there was nothing else. I mean, if he wasn't who he said he was, then I wasn't getting out of that. And literally the hand of God reached down and somehow in that moment let me know things are going to be okay. And over the next 6 months, I slowly began to dig myself out of that pit. That was in May of 2016. And in September, I met John Lewis, my partner, the co-founder of Kingdom Story, the guy that I do this stuff with. And it was God's grace that gave me John, and John took me through the 30 stories that we're presenting to you guys, and it changed my world. I met God, I met Jesus. I mean, I met him in my living room, but I really got to know him. I began to intimately walk with him, and I just gave everything over. There was no purpose without God in my life. And I found my purpose more deeply by following him. And that is how I'm doing what I'm doing today, working with pastors in Latin America, working with people all over the world, things that I never could have dreamed of, sitting at tables that I have no business sitting at. But it's because God said, I've got a plan for you and let's go. And I said, yes.
Your passion is infectious. What is that? That's not a word, is it? But
we'll go with it.
That's a stupid thing. But yeah. Wow, that's a great story, man. Very cool. And okay. And so when God's reached out to you, just curious, and I'm not trying to be funny or anything, did you hear a voice? Did you see a hand? Or was it just sort of a feeling in your heart and your soul? Or like what was the user interface on that?
Yeah, the best way that I could describe it is, I mean, it wasn't a physical image that was in front of me, but in my mind's eye, there was Jesus manifested himself to me, and just let me know that it was going to be all right. It's really a picture I go back to any point in time that I'm struggling, any point in time that I'm, that I might have doubting my faith. And by the way, it's okay to doubt your faith. And even those that teach it, have struggles sometimes. But it's the foundation I go back to because of that encounter I had. It was so real and just something I can't explain away. But a manifestation in my mind's eye that Jesus, came towards. He said, "I'll get you out of this," and I said, "All right."
Well, whatever it was, it saved your life.
It did.
So that much we know. So I'm happy for you, man. This is great. All right. So I had other questions, but I just kind of like where we're going here. I think we just kind of make it short and sweet. One more really cool. You're going to be good at this. It's just dawned on me. You're going to be awesome at this. This is your wheelhouse.
Yeah. If I had, any sage words, it would literally to go back to some of those pain points and just to reach out and to say, you know what, like, if you're hearing this, if you're listening to this, you matter, point blank and period. It doesn't matter what you think about it. It doesn't matter what others say about it. It doesn't matter even how you're currently living your life, whatever that is, you matter. You have a purpose and you have an identity. And there are people in this world that need you here. And you may not believe that. You may not even know. You could be alone in this world or think that you're alone. But I promise you that there are people that need you, that need your voice, that need your talents and your giftings, because you are unique and you are special. And the reason is because you've been created by the God of the universe, whether you believe that or not. It is a truth that I believe to my core. It's not something I believe it's a truth. It is what it is. And it has rescued me. It has given me purpose. It has set me on a path that has been trying to search out the least, the last, and the lost, and to tell them exactly that. You have a story, and that story needs to be shared, and it needs to be lived out in its fullness. And there is a potential that you have that can be unleashed if just given the time and the opportunity to do so. So I encourage you to do that. I encourage you to find your voice, find your story, know that you have an identity and that you matter more than anything in this world. Our course is a great way of getting into that, of knowing God more deeply, finding your story, knowing his story, and really getting rid of all the gunk that helps you live out that potential and that passion that you have that's deep inside of you.
So where can people find you? I do have your URL here. We're still putting some final touches on your website and to get your course up and running. kingdom-story.learnworlds.com. So if you go to that URL, it will be forwarding to the final URL. One way or the other will get you there. And how else can they find you, Branden? If somebody wants to reach out to you, other than going to kingdom-story.learnworlds.com, where can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can email me directly at Branden, Branden, at thekingdomstory.org. We're also on YouTube. We're also on Facebook. So those are some other ways that you can reach out to us,
Okay.
see our content, and and just drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you.
And you know what? You can contact me as well, Robert at CourseCREEK.com. If you need to get a hold of Branden, I'd be more than happy to forward your message. So I'm Robert from CourseCREEK.com. We help people make online courses and cohort programs, and we are very grateful to have you as a client, Branden. Thank you for your time today, and it's very cool.
Yeah, thank you, Robert. It's been a pleasure.
You're quite welcome.